Hello, this is Philip Cargon. Welcome to Tea with a Druid. And do say if you're here, as you arrive into the circle, do just type in where you're from. It's lovely to see where everybody's from. And it's also nice for me because I know that you can hear me and see me, and that there isn't a technical problem. The first person in is Mike Amos from Utoxeter. Hello there, Mike. That's great. And Jan too, yes. And Jörg from Berlin. And I don't know how to pronounce your name. Marcella from Cork. Beth from Abruzzo. Hillsborough, Oregon. Fantastic. Lovely. It's lovely. And, you know, what we're all doing now is exactly what happens at every gathering. Saying hello, coming into a circle together. You know, over the weekend, I've just come back from a really lovely weekend up in Leicester, the One Tree Gathering. And the first day, it was this perfect day because we began with a circle and we ended with a circle. So what do I mean by that? Well, at the beginning of our day together, we had an opening ceremony, and the One Tree Gathering is a gathering we have every year where people from the Hindu community, the Dharmic community, and the Druid community come together to explore cultural exchange, spiritual exchange, and to really be fascinated by the idea of our common origins way back in time, working with the theory of Indo-European origins. So we came together in a circle to begin our day, and we had a Druid ceremony. And there's something about standing, as they say in Druid ceremonies, in the eye of the sun in a circle together. We're all equal, all together. And then at the end of the day, we had a fantastic day of workshops and poetry and lovely food and so on. And we finished with a fire. We had a bonfire in the forest, and we were gathered there. And we began with an Eisteddfod, a traditional Druid Eisteddfod, where we celebrate with poetry and song and story. And then we began to dance. There was a wonderful band from India there, musicians playing the tabla and so on. And we ended up being shown how to Bollywood dance. And for those of us who aren't as supple as we could be, we were shown how easy it is. You just imagine you're changing two light bulbs. And so we were dancing around like this, changing light bulbs, which reminds me of the joke about how many druids does it take to change a light bulb? And I've forgotten what the answer is. Somebody will have to tell me. I think it's 17 or 19 or something to change one light bulb. But if anybody knows the punchline to that joke, do type it in, by the way. So hello from Michigan. Hello. And County Tipperary as well. And the Netherlands. So the day began with a circle and ended with a circle. And at one level, of course, it's just a natural human thing to do. It feels warm and ancient and primeval as well. But actually, the circle is such a powerful image and reality that we could really spend ages working on it. And last week, I talked about this idea of circles of care and concern, of how our circle of concern may be as wide as the world, but that if we understood that our circle of influence was smaller, then we needn't experience so much stress in trying to encompass all the cares of the world. We can still feel compassionate towards all the cares in the world, but accept the fact that our circle of influence is smaller and work within that circle. And then, surprisingly, as we work within it, it expands gently. And so this week, I wanted to explore this idea of the circle more deeply, to see how we might actually use this in our spiritual life in a practical, specific way. We're used to the idea of the magic circle, and some people associate it with the idea of keeping the outside world out. The magician stands in his circle, his magical circle, being protected from outside influences, so he can commune, or she can commune, with the divine. And that's certainly one use of the circle. And in fact, we can use the circle to gain a sense of protection from unwanted influences, to gain a sense of focus. If we draw our attention in, it can give us a sense of focus. And as they say in druid ceremonies, we leave outside all disturbing thoughts. So we can certainly do that, but something of the opposite nature is happening at the same time, which happens when one gets to these kind of profound truths. Often the opposites are occurring, and the opposite that's occurring here is that on the one hand, one is creating a sense of containment with the circle, but on the other hand, you're also inviting the whole world in. The circle becomes a symbol of all of humanity. When you stand in a circle in a ceremony, it's as if the 20 or 30, or in our case about 50 of us standing in the circle, represent all of humanity. And we talk about, in the druid ceremonies, we talk about the circle of our horizon and of our lives. So the entire horizon comes in. It's a symbol of universality, of the sun, of the moon, of our druid family, all together, bringing everything in. And so in Druidry, the circle, the emphasis tends to be on inclusion. It's a circle of inclusion. And we welcome people of all faiths, of all genders, of all orientations, of all, to come together in this way. And so there straight away is a fascinating idea that you can use the circle both to create a sense of completion, of universality, of gathering, of welcoming, of bringing in and together, and also at the same time to create a sense of focus and containment. So even within the symbol of the circle itself, you have these two primary modes of focus and containment, of the chalice and the blade, but all symbolized within the circle. If you want, you can put a dot in the circle to symbolize the point of focus, the blade. And so let's work with this idea in a very specific way. In our ceremony, our opening ceremony, we were worshipping the sun. We were invoking the theme of our weekend was the sun. And luckily it was a sunny day. It poured with rain the next day, but that day it was very sunny. And so we could welcome the sun and sense it in the center of our circle. And then we went on to do an ancient Hindu ceremony, burning little slabs of cow dung and putting spoonfuls of ghee, clarified butter, on it. So we did the druid ceremony first, then we did the Hindu ceremony. And at the end of our day, as the sun had set, we welcomed another fire into the center of our circle, which was the bonfire in the middle of the circle. So that was at our center, that was our point of focus. And so, because one of the great challenges in living in this modern world is the way that society works towards, or life works towards, scattering our attention. We're bombarded by images and ideas, demands on our attention all the time. And it's very easy to lose our sense of focus and to feel overwhelmed. And so the circle can help us by creating this sense of focus. And let's do this now in a meditation. Let's just go into a meditation where we will use the circle as a tool to create a sense of containment. Those of you who are old enough to remember this might remember the Colgate toothpaste ad, where they talked about the ring of confidence. And in this television ad, at the end of the ad, there would be a little like that, and a little spark, a ping, like that. And this would give you the Colgate ring of confidence as you brushed your teeth. Well, we're going to do something a little more serious than that, but we're going to sense a little ping, a little circle of light around us to create a sense of focus. And to do that, let's just first of all allow ourselves to become aware of being seated. I guess some of you may be standing, but most of us will be seated in front of our computers or tablets or phones. And you might want to close your eyes in order to better concentrate, but you don't have to. Every so often I'm going to open my eyes so I can make sure that we're still connected and I'm still online. But you can close your eyes if you want to, and just become aware of sounds far away, sounds near at hand, and then any sounds you might be experiencing from within your own body, such as your heartbeat or your breathing, for example. Breathe in deeply now into the belly. Hold it just for a moment and then breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in deeply through the nose again. Hold for a moment and breathe out. And then breathe in deeply for a third time. Hold in the belly and then breathe out through the mouth. And gradually allow yourself to become aware of being seated in a clearing in the forest, in the sacred grove of the druids. And there's the earth beneath you, and you can feel the strength and stability of the earth. And you can allow all the tensions of the day just to drift away into the earth. And as you breathe in and out, you can feel the healing energy of the earth flowing into your body, bringing you a sense of peace and of calm. And then you can have a sense of the trees around you. And the trees bring their own sense of stability and calm too. You can feel their roots going deep into the earth, their trunks rising majestically up, and then their branches and leaves high in the sky above you. And you breathe in the energy of the trees, and you feel how the trees are your brothers and sisters, sharing life on this earth together with you, exchanging energy, and deep down exchanging love too. And then you become aware of the sky above you. And you breathe in the energy and the clarity of the sky. And you breathe it into your body, and you feel this clarity and this energy and vitality flowing down into you. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And then you feel drawn to just, as your eyes are closed, just to feel into your pocket, and you find you have a little bag of stones, a little soft leather or velvet bag, which you take out and put on the ground beside you. And you put your fingers into the bag, and you can feel a nice smooth pebble. And then you stretch out, and at this point you might open your inner eyes to see the ground ahead of you. And just you stretch out a foot or two in front of you, and very deliberately and carefully put this one pebble down in front of you on the earth. And you see it sitting in the grass or on the ground there. And then you reach for another pebble. And you take it out and you put it just a little bit to the right. And then you do this gradually creating a little circle of pebbles around you. And I'll stop talking to give you the time to do this, just gradually and slowly seeing each pebble as you take it out and placing it on the ground as you go round to the right. And then you stretch around to your back too, stretching the pebbles and then taking some in your left hand as you complete the circle around you. And so, having completed this circle, and don't worry if you don't see clearly in your imagination. It's like stretching muscles. It just takes a while sometimes, so it may be hard for you to imagine this, but just pretend you can imagine it, if you see what I mean. If you're finding it hard, just do it anyway, just going around. And then, when the circle is complete, just allow yourself to sit back and just to sense this circle of little pebbles all the way around you. And then find the center of your circle. And the center of your circle will be deep inside yourself. See if you can locate it in your awareness of your body, or just in your awareness of your energy field or your consciousness. And you might like to sense that center of the circle as a shining ball of light. Might be a little point of light, or you might sense it the size of, who knows, just get a sense of it, a golf ball, a tennis ball. Just get a sense of the size of it. You might even be aware of how you can consciously control the size. It can start off as a little point of light, deep in the center, become bigger like a golf ball and then a tennis ball, then as big as a football, perhaps, glowing with light. It can be fun to do this, just changing the size of the central sphere of light inside you. And then you can let go of trying to control it and just feel your whole aura, your whole being, your whole body just filled with a sense of light. So your whole being is glowing with light, radiant with light. And you bask in the sense of light. You feel how every cell of your body is glowing with light. Every cell of your physical body is bathed in this light, healed by this light. And then just very gradually, knowing that you can return to this meditation at any time, you can spend as long as you like in this meditation once you reach this state. But just for this evening, just for this practice meditation, you allow yourself to become aware again of your physical body as your awareness of this light just starts to gently fade, and you become more conscious of your physical body, and you see in your inner eyes the circle of stones. And you gather them up now, just from left to right, anti-clockwise, just going around, gathering up the stones in your imagination, all the way around with your left arm to behind you, and then round with your right arm behind you, just putting the pebbles in the little bag, which is your bag, until you find yourself seated with a little bag beside you or in your pocket. You sense yourself in the sacred grove, the earth beneath you, the sky above you, the trees around you. And you allow your awareness of the sacred grove to begin to fade as your consciousness becomes fully located in your physical body, here and now. You become aware of being seated in your room, looking at your computer screen or your tablet or your phone. You stretch your fingers and toes. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. And so, feeling fully present now, here in front of the screen. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it brought a sense of peace and of calm, because that's what the circle can do. You know, you can literally make a little bag of pebbles if you want to, which you can take out into nature, and you can sit in a little circle of, I've got the answer to how many druids, 501 druids to change the light bulbs, and 500 druids to set the stone to mark it. So yes, as Marie-Line says, you make a little temple. You have your own portable temple in this way. And within this circle, you are at the center. This is the value of a meditation like this, is it reinforces the sense that you are at the center of a circle. And so John Scott Gibson, let's be in touch. I'll reply to you later. And in fact, any comments, I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, and I'll reply to questions and so on. So thank you very much for coming. And what's lovely about a meditation like this is it's so simple, and yet it can really bring us back. You know, we talk about centering, don't we? You know, I feel off center. It's like life has pulled me off center. And a meditation like this just brings us back to the center. And so I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and a week of great joy and inspiration and happiness. And see you again perhaps next Monday. And I look forward to reading your opinions and ideas and suggestions. Okay, so lots of love, many blessings, and blessed be.